Friends of Islam, this time the Islamic faith is back before you to share Islamic information. I hope it inspires your activities today. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and activate the bell button notifications so you don't miss the latest news from the Islamic Faith channel. Have you ever heard that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the United States? According to several surveys, more than 23% of Americans convert to Islam each year. Interestingly, the majority of those who choose to convert are young people.
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله.
According to a 2014 PRC survey, 23% of adults who grew up Muslim have left their former religion. In a recent 2017 survey, 24% of U.S. Muslims no longer practice Islam. Of this group, 55% were unaffiliated with any religion, 22% converted to Christianity, and 21% to various faiths such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Judaism. The same survey asked why they left Islam. 12% said they disliked religion, 8% said they didn't believe in God, and 5% were not religious. 9% said they felt they didn't fit in with Islam, 7% disagree with Islamic teachings, 16% believed Islam was the same as other religions, and 14% felt they had become more intelligent and mature. Meanwhile, those who converted to Islam were mostly former Christians, 53% were Protestants, and 20% Catholics. About 19% were previously unfaithful, while the remainder were Orthodox, Buddhist, Jewish, and others' reasons for converting to Islam also varied. About a quarter said they believed Islam was their primary religion, and 21% had studied it before converting. Around 10% want to join the Muslim community, 9% because of marriage, and 9% because of following a public figure. In recent years, the number of Muslims in the U.S. has continued to grow, reaching 100,000 per year. In fact, this number is almost equal for those entering and leaving. However, this is reducing the number of adherents of other religions, except for those who are not religious. Many churches, especially small and older churches, are experiencing a decline in congregations due to several factors, one of which is the younger generation no longer actively attending church and many converting to Islam. Many American YouTubers, both Muslim and non-Muslim, have made videos about this phenomenon, including vlogs of visiting mosques that were once churches. For example, this YouTuber from the United States visited a mosque that was once a church. He explained that several churches in America have experienced a decline in congregations, ultimately leading to some being converted into mosques.
This is one of the many Islamic centers here. This is a mosque here, but something that's super interesting about this mosque right here, it actually used to be a Lutheran church. You can see right here on the backdrop of this wall right here, this used to be a Lutheran church. So that just shows how much of the population has shifted from Christian to Muslim.
He also interviewed several Christians in his country, asking them what their opinions or views as Americans were about Islam, whose number of adherents is now steadily increasing in the United States.
The rise of Islam is real here in the United States. It's the fastest growing religion across America, and it's nearly doubled in size over the past 2 decades, and with Muslim women averaging 3.1 children compared to 1.6 for the American average. Muslims aren't just outpacing the nation in birth rates, they're also out-converting Christians. Nearly a quarter of all U.S. Muslims are converts, and most of them used to be Christians. While Christian churches are losing members, mosques are gaining members, and they're keeping them. And today I'm here in Minnesota, home to one of the largest Muslim populations in all of America, to witness the rise firsthand. I'll be speaking with Muslims, Christian Americans, all Americans.
What's it mean to you to be a part of Islam here in the United States?
Well, I think Islam is a religion for the humanity, for everyone. Islam in America growing, it's not something to do with us, it's something to do with God. And it's God's decision, Do
you see more people here converting to Islam or to Christianity?
Just anecdotally, I'd say that Islam's on the rise here. I do know Christianity, including our denomination here in St. Cloud, is not growing. It's actually declining.
Despite growing up Catholic, Christian, there is no religion that has had a bigger positive impact on my life than Islam.
In the eyes of many Americans, both Christians and non-Muslims, Islam is often seen as the most disciplined and consistent religion in upholding its principles. They see Muslims as not just religious, but deeply committed to their beliefs, and this is what impresses many. Converts to Islam in America are an important part of the growth of Islam, which is increasingly visible year after year. They come from various backgrounds: students, professional workers, housewives, and even former pastors. The Grand Imam of New York, Shamsi Ali, said that the number of Americans converting to Islam increased after the events of September 11, 2001. This increase is based on the open nature and curiosity of Americans. Therefore, when Islam was linked to the September 11th attacks, many Americans sought out information about it, and there, many of them discovered true Islam, and they discovered that Islam is a great religion, far from what they had previously thought. He continued, explaining that the many actions of individuals or groups that fuel Islamophobia in various countries have not had an impact on American citizens. In fact, sometimes Islamophobia is a reason for Americans to study Islam. Furthermore, the increase in Americans converting to Islam is due to the increasingly rationalization of Americans, especially young people. Therefore, their parents' religion is no longer relevant in the minds of young Americans. Islam is a very rational religion, accommodating the need for spirituality and open-mindedness. Friends of the Islamic faith, do you all know why in developed countries like Europe and the United States, so many people are now moved to study Islam? This phenomenon occurred after the events of September 11th. While prosperous and advanced nations were flocking to Islam, conversely, in underdeveloped and impoverished countries, many people wanted to apostatize, leave Islam. Why does this phenomenon occur? Those who study Islam properly find balanced and relevant. Islam does not forbid modernity. In fact, Islam is a driving force towards advanced and modern life. But Islam also provides space for spiritual education in the midst of this materialistic life. Islam is easy and flexible. Its procedures for worship are regulated by scientific disciplines that have been relevant throughout the ages. Islam is in keeping with human nature, which requires peace and tranquility in life. Islam is universal, not monotonous, and strongly rejects the practice of monasticism. A Muslim, while leading prayers, is also a leader, organizer, fighter, and worker who maintains the ecosystem. The renowned Orientalist H.A.R. Gibb unabashedly praised Islamic teachings. He said, "Islam is not merely a teaching of worship and ritual. Rather, Islam encompasses politics and statecraft, social and economic affairs, law and power, and war and peace. Islam is a living system." This is one of Islam's attractions for progressive Westerners. They find harmony between Islam and a modern, productive lifestyle. Characteristics of productivity in Islam include placing worship and work as a unified vision and mission in life. Islam demands that every follower be a productive Muslim. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "If the end is almost here, while in the hands of one of you there is a seed that he wants to plant, then if he is able, let him plant it." Hadith narrated by Al-Bukhari and Imam Ahmad. America could become the country with the largest Muslim population in the future. This major phenomenon is happening in the United States. Something once unimaginable is now becoming clear. Across cities like New York, California, Texas, and Chicago, the number of young people embracing Islam continues to rise. They come from diverse backgrounds, but they share one common feeling. Many young Americans feel lost. They don't know who they are, what their purpose is, or why life feels empty. When they read the Quran, watch sermons, or visit the mosque, they discover something different: the firmness of monotheism, the tranquility of prayer, a warm and supportive community, a consistent code of life. For them, Islam is not a barrier, it is the answer. No one can predict the future, but data, trends, and social changes point in an interesting direction. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the U.S. Young people are the largest group converting to Islam. Mosques are growing. Muslims are gaining influence in education, the economy, and politics. Muslim communities growing at a high level of quality. If this trend continues, then America won't suddenly become a legally Islamic state, but the Muslim population could become one of the largest and most influential in the country. And that means one thing: Islam is rising in the heart of the Western world. A profound change is underway, and its future may be far more Islamic than anyone imagined. Today, Islam is no longer just a minority religion, it is a shining light for the lost souls of America. And in the future, if this trend continues, Islam will not only be a thriving religion, but it could become a new hope for the moral and spiritual direction of the United States. Because when many societies begin to lose their bearings, when family values weaken, when young people search for something more meaningful, they see Islam standing tall, with discipline, simplicity, and a moral firmness that stands the test of time. Islam provides answers when the world is uncertain. Islam offers peace when hearts are filled with anxiety. Islam provides purpose when life feels empty. And that's why more and more young Americans are saying, "This is what I've been looking for." Amidst social and cultural upheaval, and spiritually, Islam emerges as the only value system that remains intact, non-negotiable, and capable of addressing the needs of modern humanity. Today, Islam is a light. Tomorrow, Islam could be a new direction for the nation. And perhaps, this is the last hope capable of reuniting the shattered hearts of the United States. And perhaps, this is the last hope capable of reuniting the shattered hearts of the United States. Because when a nation begins to lose its moral compass, it usually seeks something more solid than culture, stronger than trends, and deeper than mere lifestyle. It is at that point that Islam begins to shine brighter. Its clear, orderly, and firm teachings on the essence of life provide direction when society is in great confusion. Its simple yet powerful principles reestablish a sense of responsibility, discipline, and spirituality that has been increasingly lost amidst the tide of secularism. That is why more and more Americans from various backgrounds, professions, and ages are finally finding peace in Islam. Some come because of a long search, some because of disappointment with the old system, and others because they see how Islam can transform people into more stable, more focused, and more meaningful people. If this wave continues to grow, Islam will not only become a spiritual alternative, but could become a new moral foundation that helps America emerge from its identity crisis. And ultimately, amidst the silence of hearts no longer filled by modern ideologies, Islam stands as the last remaining open door, a place where people find God, serenity, and true purpose in life. In the United States, there is also a small town that has captured international attention. It is a city led by a Muslim majority, with a bold political stance. The city is called Hamtramck. Hamtramck is no ordinary city. While many parts of America are neutral or tend to follow the political mainstream, Hamtramck stands firmly for its identity. The city is known for its pro-Palestinian stance and is even considered one of the most vocal cities in the U.S. in showing solidarity with the Palestinian people. This stance is not just about politics. It is the voice of a community that has long felt the importance of justice, dignity, and humanity. Hamtramck symbolizes that in America, a vibrant country, there is a place where Islamic values, such as caring for the oppressed, are truly translated into public policy. In this small town, Islam is not just an identity, but a moral compass. And Hamtramck stands as proof that the Muslim community in America is capable of leading with heart, courage, and principle. Friends of the Islamic faith in America, there is another place that holds a story of extraordinary change. An area once known as the most dangerous in Chicago, that name is O Block, an apartment complex that for years was synonymous with violence, street gangs, and insecurity. But who would have thought that behind the harshness of that environment, a new light was slowly emerging? A light that came not from government systems or programs, but from the hearts of people who were beginning to seek a way out of the darkness. Among the young men who had lived in the harshness of gangs, people were beginning to discover Islam. Some began attending the mosque regularly, some left their old lives, some studied the Quran, and some even became role models for young people in the neighborhood. This change didn't happen overnight, but it began with one thing: guidance. And O Block, once a symbol of violence, slowly transformed into a place where more and more souls were touched by the serenity of faith. Islam gave them something they had been missing: direction, discipline, and hope. Today, while the world still remembers O Block as a gangster neighborhood, there's another story that's rarely highlighted: the story of young people rising up, abandoning their old ways, and choosing Islam as the light to guide their lives. O Block is proof that guidance can come even in the darkest places, that when the heart is open, no environment, no matter how harsh, can block the light of Islam. The development of Islam in America began long before Columbus landed. Even though he is credited with discovering the continent, in America, Islam is the third largest religion. Despite the large Muslim population, the majority are Jewish at 2.4% and Christian at 67%. The development of Islam in the Americas is believed to have predate Columbus's arrival. The explorer who claimed to have discovered America landed in October 1942, according to the Class 12 Islamic Cultural History Module, 2019, published by the Ministry of Education and Culture. It is estimated that Islam first arrived in the Americas in the 9th century AD. At that time, several Native American tribes, such as the Algonquin and Iroquois, were already Muslim. However, another version states that Islam arrived in the Americas in the 16th century. At that time, there were two first Muslims from North America, Estevanico and Azamor. Estevanico was a Berber from North Africa. He explored Arizona and New Mexico from the Spanish Empire. Estevanico then arrived in America as a slave to a Spanish explorer in the 16th century. In the same century, many slaves from South Africa were sent to North America starting in 1520. This numbered approximately 500,000, or approximately 4.4% of the total number of slaves, which reached 11,328,000. The approximately 200,000 slaves sent to North America came primarily from countries where Islam was already known. The growth of Islam in America is estimated to have increased between 1875 and 1912. This period was considered the first wave, encompassing immigrants from rural Syria, Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. Initially, the country was part of Greater Syria under the control of the Ottoman Caliphate. After the collapse of this caliphate during World War I, a second wave of Middle Eastern Muslims migrated to America. This history aligns with the beginning of Western colonialism in the Middle East. In general, historical researchers believe that immigrants arrived in America through several periods or waves. This diversity contributed to the widespread spread of Islam in the Americas. The history of Islam's arrival in the United States, U.S., has influenced life in the country. The presence of Muslims has influenced various aspects of life, both directly and indirectly. In The History of the Development of Islam in America, Journal Al-Dawla, Volume 4, Number 2, 2015, Subhan Khalik states that local residents were influenced by the interaction of Muslim immigrants, whether in the political, demographic, trade, or economic sectors. The U.S. is a country that adheres to liberal democracy and tends to be secular. Nevertheless, the people there agree that individuals or citizens are given the right to religious freedom. Initially, Islam was considered a religion of Middle Eastern or Pakistani immigrants in some cities. Then it gradually gained more prominence, for example, through the emergence of Black Muslims. The Black Muslim movement, led by Elijah Muhammad, operated in Chicago. Its members were predominantly Black. They often demanded equal rights regardless of skin color. As is the case with Islamic law, Black Muslims also wielded considerable influence, with many prominent figures in the U.S. converting to Islam. Among them were the renowned orator Malcolm, Al-Haji Malik al-Sabah, and former boxer Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. Both Muhammad Ali and Malik contributed to the spread of Islam in the U.S. After Muhammad Ali's death, his son Wallace Muhammad took over. He led the Nation of Islam, which later changed its name to the World Community of Islam in the West in 1976. The name change aimed to reach a wider audience under Wallace Muhammad's leadership. The development of Islam in America also progressed. For example, his anti-racist preaching, in accordance with Islamic teachings, inspired many people to study the religion. This led them to learn to tolerate differences in skin color and race. On April 30th, 1980, the World Community of Islam in the West underwent a further name change to the American Muslim Mission, AMM. This move was taken to strengthen the organization's mission. Meanwhile, Islamic organizations and institutions continued to flourish in the U.S. The Islamic Institute, a project building of the Organization of the International Islamic Conference, OICI, was established in Chicago, Jeddah. This building features a library, lecture halls, auditoriums, and other facilities for Islamic study. Later, an Islamic Center was established in Los Angeles as a center for lectures and other Islamic activities. Meanwhile, the Islamic Society of North America, ISNA, emerged in Mansfield, Indianapolis, USA. This organization serves as a center for Islamic studies and has a mosque with a capacity of up to 1,000 worshippers. Furthermore, ISNA also coordinates with several Muslim student organizations, including the Muslim Student Association, MSA, an organization of Muslim doctors and Muslim scholars. The MSA is known for its publishing operations, the MSA Islamic Book Service, a recording studio, television production, and printing. One of its publications is Al-Ijtihad, Unity magazine, Islam in America, is increasingly occupying a special place in local society. Muslims there are considered to have made significant contributions to progress, particularly development. Furthermore, Muslim figures are also gaining the opportunity to hold high-ranking positions in U.S. government. For example, Keith Ellison is the first Muslim member of Congress to be sworn in America. He represents Minnesota's 5th District. Keith was sworn in using a copy of the Quran that belonged to Thomas Jefferson. Although Muslims in the U.S. face serious pressure following the attacks on the World Trade Center, WTC, on September 11, 2001, this did not dampen the growth of Islam in America. Shamsi Ali, the Grand Imam of the Islamic Center in New York at the time, as quoted by Antara News, explained that there was a turning point after the incident. Robert O. Blake Jr., the United States Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to Indonesia, stated on July 9, 2015, that Islam was growing rapidly in the U.S. More specifically, one of the regions with the fastest Muslim growth was in the state of Texas. Within the region, Islam is the second largest religion, accepted and respected. Islam never came to divide. Islam does not hate other people. Instead, Islam came to elevate all people, regardless of their ethnicity, skin color, or background. That is why when the light of Islam began to penetrate tough neighborhoods like O Block, the change did not only affect those who converted to Islamic values of peace, discipline, and respect for others, began to impact the entire surrounding community. Islam teaches that every human being has dignity, every soul is precious, and everyone deserves a second chance. This is what makes many young people who were once lost feel accepted. They are not judged for their past. They are not demeaned for the mistakes they have made. Islam embraces them with compassion. It gives them a place to return to, gives them a new direction, and teaches that the noblest person is not the richest or the most powerful, but the most pious and most beneficial to others. And this message, the message of human dignity, is why Islam can transform dangerous regions into peaceful ones, transform violent youth into believers, and transform darkness into hope. Islam came not to oppress, but to uplift, not to divide, but to unite, not to hate, but to guide. And when these values are implemented, even a place like O Block can be illuminated with light. Across the United States, mosques are flourishing, expanding daily, not only in large cities, but also in small communities that were once barely aware of Islam. Once silent buildings are now filled with the sound of the call to prayer. Small spaces that were once merely gathering places are now transformed into centers of dawah, education, and fellowship. In some places, mosques are even being built from abandoned former churches, not out of hostility, but because Islam is breathing new life into nearly abandoned buildings. This growth demonstrates two important things. First, Islam is increasingly being accepted as part of the face of modern America. It's not a foreign religion, it's not a threat, but rather a part of the community that's helping to build the nation. Second, more and more souls are seeking truth, feeling empty amidst modernity, and ultimately finding solace in the house of Allah. These mosques are now places of refuge, places of learning, places where families gather, and places where children grow up with Islamic values in a land far from their parents' homeland. And in every mosque that stands, there are stories of struggle, stories of migration, and stories of guidance that continue to grow like trees in spring. These mosques are signs that the light of Islam is not only present in America, but is growing, strengthening, and giving new hope for the future of Muslims there. Finally, Islam is beginning to rise in a land once considered far from the light of revelation. This rise is not through political power, not through coercion, but through hearts touched by the truth. In America, the rise of Islam is not simply a social phenomenon, it is a spiritual awakening. Mosques are growing, converts are arriving, new awareness is spreading, and the light of Islam is slowly taking on a new color in society. Every year, more people are opening their eyes. More souls are returning to their Lord. More young people are finding the answers to life in Islam. And slowly but surely, Islam is growing stronger than ever before. Not just in numbers, but in its influence, understanding, and love for Allah. This awakening is quiet, yet strong, slow, yet sure. This is the beginning of a profound change. A change that is slowly being felt in every corner of the city, in every heart that begins to seek the truth, in every soul that finds peace in Islam, the beginning of a new chapter for Muslims in America. A chapter in which they are no longer a forgotten minority, but part of the nation's future. A chapter in which their voices are heard, their presence is respected, and Islamic values become a source of inspiration for many. The beginning of the awakening of a light that will never be extinguished. A light that cannot be extinguished by slander, cannot be stopped by hatred, and will not fade even though the world continues to change. That light continues to shine, continues to enliven, continues to call to all whose hearts long for the truth. This is the awakening, quiet yet unstoppable, slowly but surely. And in the end, the light of Islam will continue to shine brighter than ever. There are many reports circulating that Islam will disappear from the world map, that its followers will weaken, that the light of Islam will extinguish itself. But in reality, that's impossible. How could Islam disappear when more and more hearts are returning to Allah? How could the map of Islam disappear when mosques continue to stand in places where the call to prayer was never heard? How could this light be extinguished when it comes from the Lord of the heavens and the earth? Whatever the media says, whatever is spread by those who don't understand Islam, the fact remains. Islam continues to rise, continues to grow, continues to spread peace and guidance. The light that comes from Allah cannot be erased by human ink. It cannot be buried by opinion. It cannot be destroyed by rumor. And every day, another soul finds guidance. Another home is filled with light. Another heart is revived because of Islam. This is proof that Islam will not disappear. In fact, it will grow stronger in places we never imagined. Friends of Islam, from churches transformed into mosques, from young people finding peace in the Shahada, from cities like Hamtramck, now led by Muslims, to dangerous neighborhoods like the Oblak complex now shining with the light of guidance, all this shows that the light of Islam is growing stronger. Islam does not come by force. It does not oppress anyone. It touches hearts through the truth, serenity, and clarity of its teachings. That is why more and more souls are returning to Allah, not because they are forced to, but because they choose to. Today we witness the beginning of a profound change, the beginning of a new chapter for Muslims in America, the beginning of a rising light that will never be extinguished, and in the end, Islam will remain, and will remain a light for all who seek the truth. Friends of the Islamic faith who are blessed by Allah, I hope this video is useful and see you in our next video.